Good morning, everyone. It is Friday, February 19th, 2016, and this is Gersh's Gaming Diamond or Ragequit. Today, I'm going to be taking a look at a couple of games that I've played over the last week or so, and the focus is going to be on tactics and reactions when things go wrong, and let's call it internal scouting. Yeah, let's call it that. So, yeah, without further ado, let's just dive right into the game, and I'll show you guys what I am talking about. Alright, so this is a game, I'm going to put it on the Gersh cam here. This is a game that I played, actually, not this past week, but the week before. And if we resume here, this is a game versus Zerg, and I'll show you kind of what the basic strategy is. Against Zerg, I try and wall off, right? So I go gate, gas, and then expand. And with this gate, and then the core that follows up, and then the additional pylon that comes here in a minute, it gets there, trust me. The entire goal is to wall off this area here, so that way a couple of one or two units can stand right here and prevent a mass of Zerglings from coming in and then wiping out all of my workers. Pretty simple. Okay.
Glory to the daylight.
Now, from a scouting perspective, I see a couple of overlords, I see a couple of Zerglings. I notice he had gotten a second because I could see that creep there when I had my probe over in that direction. And I have my mothership core, I got an adept, a stalker, I'm making stuff. Right. Everything so far is going good. I got my robo facility coming, I got extra gateways coming, and then I look on my mini-map and I see this. And at this point I'm going to slow it down and go to the everyone cam. And this is called the elevator tactic, where basically the Zerg player does a Zergling rush, but bypasses the wall off in the front by making overlord transports. So overlords, when they start out, cannot initially transport units. Requires an evolution chamber, and then you have to mutate each individual overlord itself to enable their transport. So you see this one, this overlord, instead of having a load symbol, it has this mutate ventral sacs button. Doesn't take very long, doesn't take many resources, does require an evolution chamber, and then this guy picked up basically 2 batches of 16 Zerglings, dumped them here, and here we go. There go all of the probes in the top base. And there go all of my probes, period. I am right now sitting on 0 probes. I don't think I really need to go through the rest of the game. Suffice to say, when you have no economy, you lose. It took him an additional 10 minutes to kill me. I don't know why, but it did. An attack like this, as devastating as it was, I probably should have tapped out already, but I've shown you all situations before in which I'm, like, basically dead, and the opposing player just gives me so much time to rebuild. I end up being okay. Let's rewind, though. And I'm going to show what I think was the mistake that I made. Blah, 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 some random chat here. And here we go. Alright, so let's go up. Sometimes I like to, make silly comments in the early game when I'm not needing to focus all of my energy on working here on playing and see if I get any response, but this guy never responded. So, here was the first thing. Go back to the Gersh cam. Oh, alright. Never mind then.
Glory to the Daylong.
Your probes are under attack.
Okay, so I think building this wall is still the right thing to do, right? Because if you don't have this wall, this base is very vulnerable and can die very quickly. But I'm going to show you here in just a moment where the mistake was. Even dropping the Twilight Council here, and this pylon is okay, because this is, again, protecting my probes in case something does manage to break through the wall. The problem comes right around here. I drop some gates, and that pylon. That pylon is the mistake. Why? Okay, so Protoss have to have pylons in order to create buildings. Pylons give buildings power, they allow you to warp in, things of that nature, right? Now, let's see where I have pylon code. Oh, can I not see that? I cannot see that. Alright, if I had dropped this pylon pretty much anywhere else, right? Actually, not anywhere else. If I'd put it over here, that gives me vision in this area. And I would have seen this coming when the number of Zerglings were a little more reasonable. Now, if this pylon had been up here, because I already had the two protecting my base, so maybe this pylon is the mistake. Let's go with that. I think this pylon is the mistake, right? If we rewind to when I placed that pylon, at the 3.5 minute mark. Yeah. So, I already dropped the Twilight Council here. I don't think there's any reason to put a pylon right there. I can already see this area, and I can already warp in this area. In general, if I'm warping in up in this base, it's for one of two reasons. Either it's because there's things attacking my probes, in which case I have all of this space here to warp in, and I have both of these to do photon overcharge. Or nope, that's pretty much the only reason. So this pylon going down here, this is a mistake. This pylon should go over here. Not so that I can make a lot of buildings here, though why not? But because putting a pylon here gives me vision. And we're on the Everyone cam right now. The Overlords have just finished. If this pylon was here, the Overlords come over, I say, oh shit, right? And I take my Stalker and my Mothership Core, and I come over here, maybe I overcharge the pylon, I start shooting the Overlords, and I start changing up what I'm doing to match this attack that's coming in. Wouldn't have seen it quite yet, but I would have seen it soon, right? If the pylon had been here. Instead, I don't see it. And to be clear, the real way to take out this attack is to kill the Overlords. Or to immediately hit the Zerglings once they're on the ground. 2 Overlords of Zerglings, 16 Zerglings. That can be handled by a Protoss player that knows what they're doing and sees it coming. Alright, so internal scouting, especially with Protoss, I think is pretty simple. You see, I have entire vision coverage of this expansion at the 4-minute mark. But I can't see a significant corner of my base, of my main, at the same time. And that is a mistake. Okay, so let's take a look at a game in which I do this right. On Central Protocol. Now, while this is loading, I'm going to say I honestly hate Central Protocol. I would veto it. I would have it as one of the maps that I veto, with the exception of the fact that I feel like I'm such a green player as it is that I don't want to limit my learning, so I'm feel like I'm losing on all maps. But having said that, I really hate this one. Again, you have these enormous wide open spaces. Your natural expansion is like 100 yards away from your main. The thing is, for some reason, I don't play this map all that often. I think maybe because a lot of other people veto it, but I have like an 80% win rate on this map, and I hate it every time. So, what we have here is a Terran player who's a one-trick pony. He knows one trick, he knows how to execute that trick, and if that trick fails, he doesn't know what to do with himself. So here comes the trick. It's a proxy barracks push. Now, I don't see this yet, but it's like a minute and a half into the game. There's really still not much he can do to me yet. So he's, building the barracks, building the barracks. He sends 3 SCVs, does triple proxy barracks. Alright. And as you can see on the Gersh cam, I don't see any of that. Alright, so here we go. I come into his base. And you see I'm taking a look around here. I actually have it locked on the camera. And I see an engineering bay and a command center. Now, why would a Terran player build an engineering bay and no barracks? My first thought is there was a tactic way back in the Wings of Liberty days of planetary fortress rushing, where you'd build an engineering bay because that's required to make a planetary fortress. Then you lift off your command center at like the 2-minute mark around this time, fly your command center into your enemy's base, land it, turn the command center into a planetary fortress, and attack his probes with your SCVs, and then kind of just use your planetary fortress to kill off the enemy base. It's a stupid tactic, and it's really easy to prevent. And with the macro changes, now that we're starting with way, way, way more workers, it's a lot harder to pull off, because look, by the time, even if this was like a 2-player map, a short distance 2-player map, and he knew where I was, right? I already got a second base coming. I already got a gateway and a core. By the time he gets there, I could have so many stalkers. By the time he gets there with a planetary fortress, I could have so many stalkers that he would just die. Right? Alright. So, I'm looking at this. Also, then, factor in that this is an enormous map. Right? So, there's no freaking way that he would be doing a planetary fortress rush on a 4-player map that's this large. So I'm thinking, well, he's either a moron or it's cheese. Let's assume that it's cheese. Let's check this out. He's got 1 gas. Yeah, he really has no expansion and nothing. So, I went and dropped a pylon here, scouted around inside my base, and what do I see? Barracks coming in. Okay. So, it's proxy barracks. Actually, not sure how long this has been in my base, but I don't see any units yet. Now this, what follows, is an example of good tactics. Alright, so, I'm actually going to now lock it on the Gersh cam and follow in real time as I respond to this. So first off, I start chrono boosting that adept because I've got to get troops out as quickly as possible. Now if I hadn't already been building the adept, I might have wanted to switch to a stalker at this point. Since they nerfed adepts, it's a little bit harder for adepts to kill marines, because it takes 3 shots to kill them instead of 2. Alright. I'm going to pull off a handful of probes to start mining at the other base. That helps protect this one.
Your probes are
The firstborn shall...
Now, his first marine is now out, but I say, look, I'm not going to be able to kill 3 gateways with just 1. I'm not going to be able to kill off 3 barracks with just 1 gateway of my own. So, while I have the money, I drop an additional, I thought it was 2 gateways. So the Adept is able to kill a couple of these Marines. Yep, I need another gateway. And right now the problem is the Marines themselves. I make Adepts here. I should have had a couple of Stalkers, but we'll get there. And I say, alright, I've got to put as much resistance against this as possible. So here comes another Adept. He's making Marines. I'm trying to buy time. That didn't go so well. These two Marines sitting at 1 hit point each. Now, here's a mistake. At this point, I need to pull the probes off and send them over to my expansion. But my gateways are now finishing up, and I do still have 2 nexuses. I sent the probes to attack. That was a phenomenally bad move. But I've got just enough money to start making Adepts. Continue chrono boosting as much as I can. Here's the Mothership Core, finally. Bring the Mothership Core out. Here's something I also noticed. The Mothership Core can activate Photon Overcharge from a really far distance. I didn't think it was nearly as far as it was. So it comes in. Here we go. Alright, the initial crisis is over. Continue making probes. Continue making troops. Now, I'm going to have 3 Adepts versus his 3 Marines that are popping out here. Now it's not a contest. At this point, you can't beat me. I'm one-shotting the Marines. Okay, great. Now we can start attacking the barracks. Warp gate's done. Start warping in additional units. I've got Stalkers coming. The barracks pull back. But I can't let them just leave like that. So, it's time for those Stalkers. I don't want that proxy sitting right outside my base producing, so I'm scouting with the Mothership Core. You can see down in the minimap. I'm scouting with the Mothership Core, trying to get my economy back up and running. And I'm trying to get these barracks burning, because there's no SCVs around here. I can see that, so whatever built them is gone. If I can get these burning, they will probably blow up before they make it back to any useful base. Meanwhile, I'm going to pull the Adepts back, so that way, if something else gets dropped into my base, I have some sort of defenses. Alright, so he flies them up there. I'll go back to the everyone cam. I do have this one burning, and you will see that it falls apart. I didn't get the other 2 burning. Still trying to keep an eye on them with the Mothership Core. Eventually, I just pull back. So, all it took to defend that was the pylon here and some good tactics. Also some bad tactics, because he killed 16 workers. But, you look at the worker count, and, well, I'm ahead 30 to 14 right now, and he has no army. Now I can show you guys the rest of this game, and how this just became an annoyance fest, right? He did all kinds of crazy things. Look, he's got a planetary fortress at his main. He still has no expansion. He doesn't know what to do at this point. The game went another 15 minutes before I was able to appropriately crush him. And that's a factor of bad scouting, I guess, on my part. I should have realized how far ahead I was. And, I mean, I could have pushed into his base right now. Except for the fact that then, you know, maybe these proxy barracks could have landed on my doorstep again. We could have had a problem. But anyway, yeah, internal scouting, being able to see your whole base as quickly as possible. And I think with Protoss, it's just good, just drop pylons. Like, I should, like, drop a pylon on this bridge, so that way I can see if, like, you know, a Terran player drops here, which would be kind of dumb, but, like, whatever. That sort of internal scouting can help prevent a lot of cheese. And I hate playing against cheese, so it works. Yeah, so that's all I got for today, guys. Leave me a comment, let me know how you think I'm doing. As I said, this was episode 10. Woo! woo, of Diamond or Ragequit. Hope you've been enjoying these episodes, and here's to the next 10.